What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Heroes Hearth Warcraft 3. My name is Kendric, and today we present to you another replay cast. Two stellar players have found their way onto the channel, and we're talking about none other than HawK, one of the best humans in Europe, representing the human race, of course. We have his opponent, Kiwi, going in for the Orcish Horde, and we have ourselves a game on Concealed Hills. One of my favorite maps personally. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I just like the fact that it's neutral, that it is unique, that it has this unique mechanic with two fountains in here. Some people may not like it, but I like the big old ogre camp in the middle. It can really be the make or break point in some games depending on which item it drops. And I know it's a little bit controversial, but personally, I like this RNG factor as a caster. Not necessarily as a player, especially not when the opponent snatches away the big old item. But yeah, as a caster, from a viewer's point of view, I just love the unpredictability that these games sometimes bring with them, especially on this map. So, Orc versus human matchup, we've seen a lot of development, we've seen a lot of epic battles in this matchup over the last couple of weeks and months, especially here on Heroes Hearth. We've had the most recent fight night going down between Hitman and Johnny Cage from Russia as well. So Johnny Cage, he's shown us this style with a lot of early aggression, you know, a lot of riflemen, reinforcing the footy Archmage front. Then, of course, next to a Mountain King and some priests. And oftentimes, if the Orc player is greedy with his build, if the Orc player goes for a few grunts and goes for an early tech and goes for Farseer TC, that push is not that easy to hold. So yeah, Johnny Cage put up a formidable fight against Hitman. I'm not going to tell you who won the entire series because you may want to watch that actually after this video, which I can totally recommend you guys doing as well. So yeah. Farseer, of course, we also see here for KiWiKaKi, but we have to mention KiWiKaKi. He is not your average Orc. He does things his own way. He has his own special style, and that style oftentimes includes, even against human, Headhunter, or should we say, especially against human Headhunters, because Kiwi, we've had him on the channel, we've had him on Fight Night as well. He says grunts are bad units. He doesn't like them. He thinks they're inefficient, and Headhunters on the other side are more his style. They are ranged, they have bigger range, they are cheap, and in his opinion, deal more damage in the early game. So, let's see what we can do, or let's see what he can do actually, with the Farseer harass that is also prominent for Orc players these days to really contain the human a little bit and see what he's up to. Feral Spirit or Feral Wolf, whatever you want to call him, Spirit Wolf Scout, so important to really see where the human wants to creep with this militia, oftentimes the weak spot of their early game, and you know, to always have an eye on your opponent. Now, harass comes in. Not enough, though, to steal the turtle. That would have been a big one for Kiwi. Goes in empty-handed. That was really close, though. It could have really been anyone's experience reward there. But still, level 2 now available for HawK, who had to use all of his mana already onto those water elementals. But now, of course, with Brilliance Aura, he's going to get that back in a jiffy. And look at these wolves, man. Constantly forcing a little bit of attention. Keeping those workers in militia form prevents them from collecting lumber. And while they don't get a kill, they certainly are a pest to deal with. Now, Kiwi, when he goes for these Headhunters, it oftentimes is... the tech is a little bit delayed because you need somewhat of a decent number of Headhunters to be any sort of trouble, to present any form of threat to the human player. So tech coming in at about the same time as HawK's. Normally, Orc players are significantly faster when it comes to teching to Tier 2. So this is already a specialty of this build. Sometimes KiWiKaKi doesn't even want to go Tier 3. Sometimes with extended mid-game skirmishes, he just stays Tier 2. If the game is not over by then, of course. And now look at this focus fire. HawK, this reminds me a little bit of an undead versus human matchup, you know, with humans having to deal against so much piercing damage early on. But these herd footmen can now be sent during nighttime into the vicinity of the Fountain of Health. But look at the Farseer. Another big advantage, of course, against these Feral Spirits. You can just wake up the creeps and deal even more damage, maybe even kill some of these footies. So, while it is good to have these fountains, it is great to have summoned units who can just wake them up all the time. And look at Kiwi's micro. Really good. Saves one of those Headhunters, but the footy coming in with a backstab. Tries to go for the kill and gets it immediately. HawK splitting up his footies into two groups. So smart, so well done. Gets a kill for his efforts. Really, really well played here. Spike Research, by the way, another trademark for KiWiKaKi. One of the few players who consistently goes for this upgrade. And that is basically against human to prevent early footman rushes, to prevent early game footman attacks. So there's a little bit of extra damage, especially to protect those burrows, oftentimes the Achilles heel of an orc base, you know, in the back line. Now, Kiwi, he basically goes for his full style. There's no exceptions here, no deviations. He goes for the Alchemist immediately, and with the Alchemist, the armor reduction of the flask, of course. There goes the armor reduction, you know. And now, with the help of that and the combined focus fire of those headhunters, we see the big ol' ogre getting taken down in such a fast time, really. Might even get a footman as the icing on the cake, though. But shield upgrade has been researched, and HawK is quick to react and protecting his boys in the front there immediately. He actually wants to take the entire camp. That is very intriguing, especially since you just saw HawK slip by, you know. So, yeah, tries to go for the Ogre Magi. That's the largest chunk of experience at the ready. He found a Helm of Valor. Strength and Agility, certainly not the worst combat item for the Alchemist at level 1, who goes in with extremely low base armor. That one is certainly going to be improved now. And a little bit of bonus HP and damage. Certainly nothing to be sneezed at. But now, we need a little bit of healing. We need a little bit of regeneration time for the Orc boys in the back.
A player's forces are under attack.
Shield upgrade, funnily enough, also quite useful in most creep camps, especially when there's an abundance of trolls available. So, what kind of style are we going to see now from HawK, by the way? We see rifles transition coming through, lock them in by accident, so has to get rid of those trees, chop them down, my man. And yeah, Mountain King, really. No surprise. It would not surprise me to see Stormbolt first, followed by Thunderclap at level 2, because I don't think you need the stuns of Bash against the Alchemist, really. Against TC, it would be a different story. You know, we saw this in the series between Hitman and Johnny Cage as well. Johnny Cage consistently going for Bash on level 2, so he can really just have as much CC disable as possible against the TC, which is very important to do because you have so many squishy units with your rifles and your casters in the back. This time, though, I think against all those low HP headhunters, man, I think Thunderclap is going to work wonders. HawK misses the one attack on the rifle to go for the shoot-by. But he doesn't care. He doesn't want to chase Kiwi, who used the speed scroll anyways in the first place. He wants to go for some aggression now himself. Has a large number of rifles in his army already, respectable for sure. And here goes a stun actually onto the headhunters instead of the heroes. So really tries to weaken the numbers of KiWiKaKi's backline a little bit more. He splits his numbers and his units really well, so the acid bomb is not going to get that much value. So really cool decision making and really good splitting by HawK, but is it going to be enough? Because Kiwi is tenacious. He is not giving in, not giving up that easily. Goes for, loses another headhunter here, and is he going to get that rifle? No, he's not going to get it. The acid bomb was on target, but it was just not meant to be. And more orc units are falling. HawK's Mountain King, who just joined the fight, is now at level 2 already. Chain Lightning Execution on one of those priests. But man, HawK is, I think, overwhelming the orc player in sheer numbers right now. Level 2 water, at least 3.5. Jaina Proudmoore on the Archmage. Looking really scary at the moment. I mean, sure, the Alchemist is now level 2. That's nice. We don't see his second ability just yet. But I think level 2 wolves are kind of needed. And even if those come online at some point, I think Spellbreakers might be in range. There's 2 ways of playing this style that HawK has deployed right now with the rifles and the caster in the back. You can go for Spellbreakers, especially if you have orcs that rely heavily onto those wolves. And maybe even go for some casters themselves. But mostly you don't see Spellbreakers, and you just see a large number of priests, followed by some sources in the very late game, by the way. Aggressive engage coming in by KiWiKaKi right now with a speed scroll. He's tearing those units apart by the human player. Now has to be careful though. We've seen this with Johnny Cage, and we see this with HawK as well, that the shamans are focus target numero uno for humans, because you want to deny the lightning shield on melee heroes such as the TC, or in this case, the Alchemist, and you want to make sure there's no purge against any sort of CC, you know. Shaman's really annoying. Steals away the experience of this Goblin Laboratory as well. And true, his units are kind of hurt still, HawK that is, but so are the Orcish units. Like, rebuying these healing salves over and over, we've had this as well in the previous Fight Night with Grubby mentioning this very well. It really saps away a lot of mana. A lot of gold, doesn't it? When you constantly have to buy these cells for 100 gold here, 100 gold there, new speed scroll, 50 gold here, 50 gold there, that really makes a difference if it accumulates into steady expenses, you know. Oh, militias have been pulled for this meager creep camp. I think that is supposed to be an expansion. I think HawK realizes that with the recent one fight, he's in a strong enough position to force a second base. And oftentimes players, especially when you've crept it yourself, players who crept it, they won't suspect this camp to be taken again. They won't even pay attention to it because in their minds, it's kind of like check mark, you know, and that's it. So let's see if Kiwi has the map presence and awareness to actually go and check for the second base. Because if this one goes through, especially with the towers currently being built, it could really be quite problematic. And human expansions on this map on Concealed Hill, so annoying and so tough to break. When there's 2-3 towers blocking your way on this hill, it's quite the opposite of easy to take it back. Now rifles exposed, huge acid bomb connecting, by the way, by KiWiKaKi's Alchemist. So huge, but here is the Mountain King, by the way. Did he go clap? He didn't go clap, by the way. I was wrong. He still goes for the bash, tries to focus down some heroes, and if he gets it, it was well worth the investment. Doesn't chase it, though, but with only a couple of HP left, this hero is basically gone. And just imagine, Thunderclap now into this chunk of squishy units in the back. I'm not sure if I am digging the bash choice here. I think Thunderclap could have been amazing. But let's see. HawK is not in a really dire situation yet. He goes in with a lucky bash, actually, and gets a reinforcing Headhunter for his merits. So certainly pretty good. One Arcane Tower to fight the wolves and other summon units. Is HawK investing more resources, though, to further fortify this position? We're going to see. Meantime, we see the second most important creep camps on the map being taken by the human player HawK right now, the Dragon Camp. There's one on the left, one on the right. And Kiwi, he probably sniffed it out, and he's now ready to take the opposing camp. So both players are probably going to get some thick items relatively soon into their pockets. Let's see what it is going to be exactly. Both players really, I mean, forced to use their items super early because these fights have been rather intense. Bloodlust in the mix now. Master Shamans coming through. And this could actually be a good time for HawK to include some Spellbreakers that we mentioned early into his team composition. So let's see. This Drake is still alive, whereas HawK has already completed it. He found Rune Bracers. Meh. I think the Mountain King is already beefy enough. But certainly against Chain Lightnings, perhaps, this could be certainly pretty okay. You know, not the best item. Probably going to be sold at some point. But let's see. On the opposing side, we see a Belt of Giant Strength +6. Man, honestly, this Alchemist is becoming a stalwart tank now. Currently equipped with Talisman of Evasion and additional Strength. Quite sick, actually. Helm of Valor was sold, I think, after the first skirmish is not going well in Kiwi's favor. Chunk of gold that you can always use to reproduce your units. Third hero coming through, Paladin reporting for duty. And also reporting with a dapper haircut as per usual. And yes, call me crazy, I like his haircut. Never get rid of it, never change. By the way, Tomb of Retraining coming through for HawK. This means no more water alleys. They've become useless against the Shaman's Perch anyways. So he goes for a level 2 Blizzard and rocks it into this line of burrows. And even forces a TP out of KiWiKaKi. 350 gold? I'll take that, says HawK. Now, what is Kiwi going to do, though? Does he think he's strong enough to fight the human army head-on already? He now, of course, has scouted this base as well. I'm not sure if the peon actually went there already or if he's forgotten about him. But yeah, man, I mean, when there's a 2 versus 1 situation in terms of bases in the human's favor, the Orc player is running out of time. No Spellbreakers coming through anytime soon, by the way. Inner Fire, though, soon to be there. Inner Fire is a counter buff to the Bloodlust, increasing armor and damage. Certainly a very desirable upgrade for the rifles. And of course, when you are a human, your late game is very flexible. You don't have to go for Spellbreakers to steal the Bloodlust, when you could just dispel it, you know, with your priests. Very nice focus fire, though, into the caster backline. Bloodlust and Berserker Rage, that is no joke. That is some heavy, heavy damage, but what works against those burrows certainly works against the Headhunters too, as the Archmage continues to make it rain into the backline of the Orc. But look at this concave line, so good. There's more acid bombs, there's more purges onto these poor rifles. Just kidding, I hate these suckers. Get him out of here, says KiWiKaKi, and HawK is now desperately trying to hold the line. He, of course, has the 2 base economy to back up reproduction, so he doesn't have to overcommit. He doesn't have to overdo it. Nice hero focus, though. This KiWiKaKi Alchemist, we mentioned him to be very tanky, very buff. But even an Alchemist with the Belt of Giant Strength +6 has to back away. Sold the Talisman of Evasion, by the way, to really just get more golden. But here we see another Stormbolt onto the backline. This poor Alchemist is so hurt. It's so in a rough spot, really. Healing Spray is ready, but mana, of course, is a problem, especially the Healing Spray when there's a Mountain King. That's something I also did really consider when I discussed Thunderclap versus Bash. You know, when the Healing Spray goes through and the Mountain King just continuously right-clicks on the Alchemist, he can interrupt the Healing Spray quite handsomely. So certainly a nice thought aspect in showing you guys why HawK is the pro player and not Kendric. So here we go. Third hero coming through. Now the Alchemist, not the Alchemist actually, the Tinker, his Goblin buddy in the fray. Now what can the Gobos, the Roblin Gobos, wait, is it actually going to be Pocket Factory or is it going to be missiles? Pocket Factory could be nice to provide additional front lining, but it is going to be rockets. He's got some rockets in his pockets. And that is an interesting one for sure now. The mini stun, the AoE damage coming through by the Tinker now could provide better combos, better follow-ups for good acid bombs or Headhunter Focus Fire. So certainly an interesting route that KiWiKaKi is going for here. This expansion, though. I mean, this expansion has been collecting the entire time. You see now fragmentation shards coming through for some water teams in the back. Really good against the orc. Squishy units in the back. Even good against headhunters. I mean, siege damage does so much work against unarmored casters in the back. But even against all these squishy headhunters likely to clump up at some point, it's going to work wonders. So Kiwi, he will probably have to split his headhunters out into several different groups and prevent some of the damage being dealt by those human units this way. Level 5 Archmage, by the way. Level 3 Blizzard. Just imagine the Mountain King now going for retraining as well and going for Thunderclap level 2. I mean, are you kidding me? Slowing everything down in an AoE radius around him, only then to be followed up on with a level 3 Blizzard. These orc units without healing, really, no Shadow Hunter, are not going to have a good time. And the Healing Spray, I'm not sure if it's enough to out heal that damage. But you know, HawK, he's been sticking with the bash, and if it works, no need to fix it. Although Kiwi hates grunts, he's now producing some because he realizes, hey man, I actually need something to keep those bad boy units of the human player at bay. Now, pre-bloodlusting before combat. That's a bunch of grunts, actually. One armor upgrade, so they're a little tankier than their normal compadres. And now, I think Kiwi, he's trying to go in for the surprise attack. Sneak attack from behind. Mountain King, though, is greeting these orc units with his hammer. Paladin does the same, goes for the armor aura, of course, so these rifles are a little bit hard to kill, but Bloodlust is reigning supreme. Where's the Dispel? Where's the Blizzard? There it goes. The rockets are coming through. This orc army is very dangerous. So much DPS coming through right now. Look at this Bloodlusted army. And HawK says, no, I don't want to take that fight. That's not a good position for me. Kiwi had me there, caught me with my pants down from behind, and I don't want to fight there. Ooh, this mortar team, that's going to get caught for sure. He could split his army into two, drop a purge. There you go. That unit is going to get caught. Additional experience, and you know what? I mean, human heroes are scary and all, but orc heroes in this matchup with level 3 Chain Lightning and deadly acid bombs is very lethal themselves. I love these constant scouts by the wolves. Very nicely done. And you know, if you keep trading efficiently against a 2-base human, it might not even make that much of a difference anymore. Quite the opposite. You keep trading favorably, your heroes get more experience. But I think the next fight is really going to decide the outcome of this game. Like, there's only so many fights Kiwi can take, and even if those fights are slightly favorable, when you have a player's 2-base economy on your opponent's side, you need to win those fights tremendously. And even the human heroes, man, 5 on the Archmage, 4.5 on the Mountain King. Paladin is getting close to level 3. If those level 2 Holy Lights come through, it's going to be significantly harder to kill heroes and units alike. Precasting the Inner Fire, I think HawK is smelling something. Of course, this late into the game right now, guys, you know, almost 20 minutes in, you know there's not a whole lot left to creep. So it's really just a dance around the map. Who can catch the opponent at a better angle? Almost like a tango between the two. Of course,
A
HawK
town is under siege.
tries to find out, tries to sniff out if there is an orc expansion in the making. Level tier 3, of course, allows orcs to buy the tiny great hole and to sort of balance out the weakness that the normal expansion brings with it, which is the long construction time. Shop control. Oh my god. Look at how rich HawK was. He's sharing the scrolls of healing, one on each hero. That's exactly how you use your money, ladies and gentlemen. 2 scrolls of healing, by the way. My mistake. But yeah, he has 2 scrolls of healing. An invul on the Mountain King. The Paladin is looking fairly beefy as well. Big invul on the Archmage. So his heroes are well protected against any sort of focus fire with Purge and Acid Bomb, maybe. Meantime, we look at the units and we look at the heroes and the items. Orc doesn't have that much. KiWiKaKi, he's the opposite. He is quite broke, man. He had to sell so many items just to stay in the game and to keep pumping out those units. Now, he's basically at the brink of defeat. This last fight is going to determine it all. And now, of course, with these mortar teams having superior range, HawK can just snipe and poke away. He can just go for the buildings here. Look at the range. KiWiKaKi is forced to do something about this. He cannot just sit back, you know, crack a cold one open and wait for this human to finish the job. That's not. He needs to go in. Chain lightning coming through. Bloodlust. We hear the battle cries of the orcish units everywhere. The priests are busy. Dispel 1, looking good. Blizzard, though, it's all about buying time, hit and run, kiting back and forth for the human player. That's what they need to do. The heroes, though, blocking themselves a little bit. The Blizzard is good. Healing scrolls, of course, are at the ready. Those shamans in the back are getting evaporated by the mortar teams. Really solid focus fire here by HawK, who doesn't need to win this fight necessarily. He's got 2 bases still, or 1 base rather. His 3rd base in the bottom right is currently building as well. So this fight for HawK, very comfortable. For Kiwi, not so much. He needs to get the damage done right here, right now. But where is it? HawK is so apt at splitting and kiting all the way through. There's barely any human units falling. Finally, Priest bites the dust. But what can the Orc really do? Nice concave, but look at those blizzards. He's making it rain again. The blue shards from the skies, they're raining down. And slowly but surely, the mana is getting low as well on these Orcish heroes. The Alchemist looks around and says, no more acid bombs, no more healing sprays. And just look at this. GG. It's a battle of attrition. And Kiwi was not able to make it. His infamous style with headhunters, it looked so strong so many times, but not this time around. He fought valiantly, but in the end, the Russian powerhouse, really, that is HawK, was just too calm and collected to really give it away. So well played by him. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to drop a thumbs up and leave a subscription. We'll be back with more Warcraft 3 content in the very near future, so keep an eye out. And until then, thank you for watching. Peace.